Action.
Hi, I'm Claudia Engelhardt, Miss Lynchburg, USA, and this is my interview with the Pageant Project.
Hello, everyone. It's Adrian from the Pageant Project with you, and my special guest for today is Claudia Engelhardt, who is Miss Lynchburg, USA. Claudia, welcome.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
We are wearing the same colors. I just realized this now.
We're matching red. Look at that. We didn't
I'm
plan this.
sure, no, I'm sure yours is much more stylish than mine. Mine is a fleecy hoodie because it's quite cold here. Does it get cold where you're at, like in the middle of winter? It's summer for you guys, obviously, but
It
it's winter
does,
for
but
me.
it's summer now. It's starting to heat up. It's 75 and sunny, so I'm thankful for this weather.
What's 75 in Celsius? I have no idea. How cold does it get in the middle of winter for you guys?
Oh my goodness. I think we've been pretty good with snow recently. This past winter, we didn't get too much snow, but I want to say like 15, 13 degrees, maybe if it's really bad, but
I'm
couldn't
not
be
okay with
me.
that.
I'm not a fan of wintertime.
I know a couple of people who are, and my first question is always, why? What's wrong with you? I used to coach tennis, and I asked one of my students because he said he preferred winter, and he said, "Yeah, because when you run around, you don't get hot, and I can run around in a tracksuit and not get hot." But I'm like, in summer, you just don't need to wear the tracksuit. I I don't understand.
I could understand that, but I don't play sports, so I couldn't relate to that. But
Okay,
couldn't,
that
no, no, no.
That's fair enough. Guys, for you watching, I can see a bunch of you tuned in. So thank you for that. If you have any questions or for Claudia or any comments, just whack them in the comments below and I can pass them on to Claudia. I can actually bring them up on screen. Claudia, why don't we get started with the easy question, which is how did you get involved in the crazy world of pageantry to begin with?
It's kind of a long story, but I'll give you the best condensed version possible. I was always involved in the arts. As I mentioned before, I'm not an athletic person. I was always singing, dancing in shows and musicals at school. And my mom actually put me in pageants when I was young, not the toddlers and tiaras kind of pageants, more of like the natural beauty pageants for little girls. I did dance, but when I was 15 years old, I decided to compete for my Miss USA teen title, and I fell in love. But unfortunately, I never looked like a teen. I was always really tall. I never really fit the teen look. So I waited a
Huh.
couple years until I aged up to Miss. And then I competed in the International Junior Miss system. And I won my first try for the Miss New Jersey International Junior Miss title. I went to nationals. I did Miss Collegiate America, Miss Earth USA, and now on the road to Miss Virginia USA. So it's been a ride.
Those are some very, I was going to say big names in pageantry, and I'm saying that because I know what they are. I mean, there are so many pageants these days that very often I hear a system and it's the first time I've heard about the system. But all of those ones I know and have interviewed contestants from before. Are you able to, I'm not asking you to say which one's better, obviously, but are you able to compare and contrast maybe some of the differences that you've experienced between, let's say, IJM, Collegiate, Earth, and now USA?
Yeah, I think actually the way you compared it was perfect. Like Miss Collegiate America compared to IJM, I think those are more USA systems. They don't really go on
Mm,
to the international level. And obviously, Miss USA and Earth, they do go on to the international level. So in that regard, I think competing for IJM and Collegiate, it was a little less stressful. Still an exciting time, but I was able to work more locally in a sense. But when you compete for a little bit more of a prestigious title, and I only say that just because it is global, you
yeah.
reach a larger audience. I think the pressure is really on for that one.
Right. So, how are preparations going for your upcoming pageant? I saw on your Instagram that you just picked up your sponsored dress, I believe. So,
Yes,
things must be beginning to speed up. How far away is the big day?
it's a month, exactly a month this Friday on the 17th. So just a month out. It's fast approaching.
And so, you've done this before. You've been in the lead up to a pageant. So how are the emotions at the moment?
Normally, I'd say all over the place, but I feel calm. I feel at peace. I'm just excited, and I'm focused. And more importantly, I think focused more on the mental
Mhm.
health point of it. Really going forward into this specific state pageant. I'm excited.
I mean, you look very calm. You don't have that normal look of manic excitement that maybe some of the younger ones do. Is that just because of who you are? Is it because you've been doing some mindset training, or is it just the voice of, I hate to say voice of experience because people go, you're saying I'm old. Or no, I'm saying that you're experienced. Is it a combination of all three? I mean, how come you're so calm? It's a good thing,
I
by the way.
do. Thank you very much. I think it is a combination of all three. As I mentioned earlier, I am no stranger to the stage. I always like to say, ironically enough, I am internally shaking in my boots. But I hope that I don't show that on stage, whether it be singing, acting, or on a pageant stage. But when I get off that stage, it's that adrenaline rush. It always keeps me coming back for more. So knowing that and walking into it, especially this past year of being kind of deprived of doing all the
Mm.
things I enjoy doing, especially again being on stage, I'm just I'm so ready for it.
Sounds good. Let's dive into your advocacies and what you do away from stage. So
Yeah.
obviously, you and I had a conversation about the businesses that you're running or business that you're also about to launch, and that's also super
Yes.
exciting. You're what I believe in America is called a curve model. I think in the UK and Australia is a plus size. I'm not sure if those two mean the same thing, which is more. It's more common now in pageants, which is great. It used to
Yes.
be, there wasn't a pageant
Unheard
really
of.
for.
Yeah.
Exactly. Why don't we start with the modeling? So how much modeling have you done, and how have you found it going into pageantry and going into modeling as well?
Yeah. In 2018, I had just turned 19 actually. I signed my very first agency. And by sheer happenstance, that was just because they were looking for a model with my exact measurements. Um,
Right.
I'm sure you're familiar with, fashion and sample sizes, which is typically a size 2 and a 4. But when it comes to being a curve model, it's traditionally a size 14, 16, maybe a 12. And I am that sample size for a size 14. So ever since 2018, I have been working consistently with agencies. I started in Philadelphia, and more recently, I moved all the way up to Manhattan to be based there to book a range of clients. But it has been so rewarding for many different reasons, and I think that has also helped me transition into pageantry. And I think
Mhm.
performing quote unquote better on stage with that professional modeling experience behind me.
I interviewed Emma Loney, who I'm
Yes.
assuming that. Okay, so, and I was talking. I mean, the reason I saw her in the first place, I noticed her was because our Miss Universe Australia, Maria Thatil, did an interview with Emma on body positivity
Yes.
because Emma quite publicly showed that she had received a lot of body shaming, which I really don't see the point of putting any negativity up on internet. Like if you don't like it, just go somewhere else. But there were some particularly sort of offensive remarks, ones that I think need addressing. So if I was to ask you, for example, one of the ones that really stuck with me that Emma got was that you're promoting obesity. You're not promoting body positivity. Um, and Emma addressed that. I'm just curious as to your thoughts on being not the typical size zero. Uh, have you received any similar comments? And if so, what have been your thoughts on it?
On a side note, shout out to Emma. She is a very good friend of mine. We went to Miami together. I actually met her at Miss Earth USA.
She
And
has chickens, by
unfortunately,
the way.
yes, she,
We-
she was
I
at
talked to her about
Wisconsin. Yes.
chickens. Emma, if you're watching this, my chickens still have not laid eggs, so please send some to me.
um, but I did have the misfortune of getting similar comments on posts, even on TikTok. I had a TikTok that went viral, and it was with a couple of friends who were obviously different sizes than me, and it was very it's easier said than done to say, oh, like I won't let it get to me. I won't. And I
Mm,
did my best to let it not, but it still did to a certain extent. But in regards to that specific, I guess, quote that you pulled from a comment
mm,
that Emma received that it promotes obesity, on a side note, I am a certified health and wellness coach. And when it comes to being healthy, it's more than just what you put into your body. It's your mind, it's your
Mm,
body, it's your soul, it's your spirit, it's everything. So you can't tell someone's health based on their size. And when it comes to beauty, I'm a firm believer that we should not be defining beauty just by one specific standard look. It comes in so many ways. And I think the beauty of pageantry is that, or especially now, we're able
mm.
to showcase so many different versions of beauty from different nationalities, different heights, different sizes. And I think now that we have that true representation, it's a beautiful thing. And I'm really excited to be a part of that.
Are you able to contrast the, let's say, the level of progressiveness or acceptance of different body types in modeling
Yeah.
versus pageantry? Because I think that's an interesting conversation.
One of my favorite movies is Devil Wears Prada with Meryl Streep, Anne Hathaway. It's amazing. That came out, I think, in like 2007, 2006. And not even like 20, 15 years ago, it was day and night in the modeling industry. If you were above a size 6, it was like, oh my
Yeah,
goodness, like get away,
exactly.
which was
Yeah.
horrible and indirectly sending this really bad message to young girls and young women. And I am so happy that pageantry has been a little bit more inclusive, but I'm so
Mm,
thrilled that modeling has been extremely more inclusive. And I think my hope is that pageantry always follows the fashion trends, and inclusiveness isn't a trend. It's something that is here to stay. But I'm
mm.
hoping that because fashion did make things a little bit more inclusive, that pageantry
Yeah.
will, and not just to a
Yep.
state level, but to a national level. I'm so thrilled to see girls of all different sizes compete at a state level like myself. But I think we're really not going to get that true representation until we see it on the Miss USA stage, on the Miss Universe stage, Miss Globe, all these other national
Mm,
pageants. That's where we need to be
yeah.
seeing it for sure.
I think we are moving, thankfully, in that direction. I mean, it's always maybe a bit slower than some of us would like, mainly
Yeah.
myself. But I've mentioned Maria already, our Miss Universe Australia, and she is 5'2", 5'3". I'm not
Very
sure. So,
petite. Yeah.
yeah, definitely not the stereotypical, 5'10" and blonde that you would associate Universe or
Yeah.
Victoria's Secret with, which is amazing. Claudia, away from the pageantry stage, I mean, you've already mentioned that you're a certified health and wellness coach. You do a lot of things away from stage. So let's dive into that.
Yeah.
What are the different things that keep you busy away from the pageant world?
Believe it or not, most recently, content creation for myself and also some of my clients. But I love, literally, my best friend is my tripod. I have it in my car always. I have a bunch of outfits ready to go. I designate one day specifically for content and do like 20 different looks. So it looks like I went all these different places. So I do enjoy creating content for myself. Also, as I mentioned with clients, I have recently launched Mindful Living Media, which is the all service social media agency. So that has been really time consuming and
Mhm.
also non business related. I love music. So I'm always making Spotify playlists in my free time.
What's your favorite music type of
Oh my
music?
goodness. Jazz, hands down jazz. Amy Winehouse, Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald, they are my go to girls. I love them.
It's been a long time since I interviewed anyone, and they mentioned Billie Holiday and Ella Fitzgerald.
Ah.
Those are some big names. Jazz, that's unusual. Where did your love of jazz come from?
I honestly, I have to give credit to my parents. I grew up as an
Yeah.
only child with older parents, and I was showcased so many different kinds of music genres. But for some reason, jazz just it stuck to me. Even when I used to sing a lot for high school and college, and just being in shows, I would always gravitate towards jazz pieces to be able to perform. It's soulful. It's beautiful. I love it.
And you mentioned your social media agency. So has that been
Yes.
officially launched now? Has it been like a secret undercover launch or
We did a soft launch.
yeah?
It is up for the clients that I do currently have. I let them know. I kind of followed them, but my hope is to do a very hard launch on July 1st. So it's not super top secret, but I'm excited about it.
Well, if it was top secret, it's certainly not top
Yeah,
secret
we
anymore.
officially announced that.
So social media agency is one of those businesses that there've been a few people who've been interested in it, but I found that it's not. The people that I know, some of them have gotten into it because they think it's an easy way to make money. They think they don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
My experience has been if you launch it, it's actually a lot more hands-on and involves a lot more work than you might think. You can't just say, yeah, I'll do your content creation for you or manage
Yeah.
your social for you and charge you thousands of dollars a month and I'll just sit here and get someone else to do it. Because that can lead to disaster, especially if it's a high level, high profile client. What got you interested or curious about starting up a social media agency in the first place?
In 2017, my senior year of high school, my local mall, really big, beautiful mall, they had personally reached out to me and asked me to become an influencer. They picked, I
Hmm.
think, 5 other local girls and guys in the area and had us come in, gave us like a budget. We went shopping. It was amazing. But the really exciting part about it was that we sat down and they did this whole kind of marketing 101 class. And I was so intrigued. And at the time, I was actually a theater major in college, but I was like, wait a second, this is piquing my interest. I love it. So long story short, I switched schools. I changed my major to strategic communications with a
Wow.
concentration in social media management. It was a mouthful, but I loved social media for many reasons, just, and the main one being that it can just inspire so many people at once. You're able to get a message out to so many people and you have that
Mm,
ability to impact so many people. But specifically when it comes to creating my own agency, in college, I was able to be a freelance social media manager and work for several local shops and also creatives. I don't know if you're familiar with Ellie Illustrations, LEL. She does a lot of beautiful custom illustrations
mhm.
for pageant girls. I had the privilege, she was actually technically my first client, so shout out to Ellie. Um, she was able to let me run all of her socials. A photographer, Aaron King Aaron Photography, who just
Oh yeah.
blew up. He's amazing. He learned from Fadil. I
Mhm.
also had the privilege of working alongside him for about a year, as well as other clients. And I loved it. And I wanted to continue doing it post grad. So um, it it kind of all came together. I wasn't really expecting it, but I'm thankful for it for sure.
You mentioned a concentration in social media management. I think in Australia the equivalent would be we call it majoring. Like you pick a particular topic that you're going to sort of under the bachelor degree have a particular specialization in a smaller topic.
Okay.
A college doing social media management. I've never heard of that before. Back when I was looking to do some postgraduate studies, they started coming out with entrepreneurship specializations or specialty degrees. And I got into one, and to be honest, I stopped after one day because I was looking at it going, this is not, it's not real. It's not practical. It's very theoretical. It's all great, pretty, but in the real world, it's not tested. It's not proven. And I was following and still do follow a lot of big name entrepreneurs who are actually doing it. I'm just curious to know your experience with studying social media management in college. What was that like? How relevant was it? What sort of topics were you guys discussing?
I went to Liberty University and I really have to give them so much credit because they were ahead of their time. When I
Mm,
decided to switch majors, they were one of the very few schools that pioneered that social media management concentration, which was a big reason why I decided to go to that particular school.
right.
During my junior and senior years, we focused a lot on I always joke that the degree that I took was the most business degree that you could get, but not the business
Yeah.
degree.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
I get
not,
it. Yeah.
ironically enough, I am not a fan of math. So I wasn't trying to do any more math work than I had to. But a lot of it was psychology. We'd focused a lot on target markets and more of the
Mm,
psychological part of marketing. We really didn't like go into the different social media sites and like know how to use them. That wasn't what we did, but we learned the science behind whatever social media is the next thing. And I know TikTok is now a really big one. Who knows,
yeah.
5 years from now, it's going to be something else. Though the algorithm may be different, your clients, your target market, the values and desires of the people that you're trying to bring in, that's not going to change. So if you have those tools, you can plug it in anywhere. So
Yeah.
that was just great for me to learn and take with me as I open up my social media agency.
That's fascinating. That sort of stuff is very business oriented. I wouldn't even
Yeah,
call it social media management. Learning how to pick a niche or your target market before you launch anything, whether
it's
it's a
so
social media
important.
agency or any other sort of business, is super important. And learning how to use the different platforms. you guys figure that the best way to figure it out is by doing it. Like if you want to learn how to use the TikTok platform,
Yes,
get on it and create 20 hours worth of content. You'll probably know more than you could learn in any degree.
100%.
Um, that's absolutely fascinating. So, what sort of plans do you have for the social media agency? And then, obviously, there's the health and wellness coaching. Are those two coinciding? Are you just running them on parallel, simultaneous tracks? What's the 1 year, 2 year, 5 year plan?
So to touch a little bit on the Mindful Living Co., which is the wellness business, that was my first one. And it truly didn't even start out as a business. It started out as a community, as a place for me just to share and also track my progress while I was at the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, IIN. That's where I received my certification.
Hmm.
Just to track my progress there. Obviously, I'm a big advocate for body positivity, so posting that. Um, but then it grew. Also, thank you to my friend Aaron King. We were able to create a photo shoot series called #OneWoman. So I was able to feature so many different beautiful women who were some of my friends. We also did a huge casting call, different ages, different sizes, different nationalities to come and be featured. And I realized that I want to continue to grow that. And through the One Woman series promoting diversity, I want to kind of bridge that with um, my other brand, which is the Mindful Living Media. So whether the clients that I have with Mindful Living Media want to be a part of that as a sponsor, whether they're a boutique, whether they have a location that we can use for the shoot, whatever it may be, that's kind of the bridge between the two businesses.
Hmm.
Um, that wasn't what I sat down and said, oh, I want to do this. Again,
Yeah.
it just happened. It just happened, and I'm so thankful for that. But Mindful Living Co. is the wellness brand, and I created that in 2018. Yeah. So it's been good so far. I love it.
It's all been relatively recent then. The last 2 or 3 years, you've been super busy starting up businesses. Uh, I'm just curious if there's a small business watching or someone who wants to get involved to take you on as a social media agency. What would be the process that you would have them walk through? Is it a face to face sort of conversation or a virtual face to face conversation to work out their needs and then go from there? Is it something else? Do we talk target market, etc.?
For sure. So our base is based in Manhattan and also Philadelphia. So I do that because that's kind of the largest cities that I'm close
Yeah.
to. I'm able to service clients there. However, we do have clients that are not located in the Manhattan and Philadelphia area. So whether that means a trip for me, assuming that it's somewhat in a driving distance, or whether that means a FaceTime call. Once they send us an email, kind of just inquiring more about information, depending on if I think that I'm going to be a good fit for them, whether it's
Mm,
my services in particular. I'd love to hop on a call with them and I love to hear their needs. And then we kind of go over what specifically within social media their goal is, whether it's growing their following in general, whether it's increasing sales for that month. And then we also figure out the how long this is going to take, whether it's a month, whether it's a
yeah.
year, whether it's 6 months. And also, not just with businesses, but with pageant girls and models, I do something called social media audits. And as someone who is involved in modeling with a mother agent, I know the importance of social media when it comes to getting booked and signed. There are jobs
Mm,
that I've booked because I was found through social media. And I work actually with my current mother agent, and the girls that she currently signs and brings on, she sends them my way. We do a great little social media audit before she submits them to the agencies. So it's not just for businesses, Mindful Living Media. It is for pageant girls and models as well.
let's dive into that last part because that part's fascinating. Because I often look at when I take on someone as a pageant coach, I look at the girls' social media and they ask me for my opinions. And sometimes it's great, and sometimes it's not so great. But always the underlying conversation is how do I get more eyeballs? How do I get more traffic? How do I make sure my advocacy stands out? You want your social media obviously to be a true representation of what you stand for, but you also need it to be noticed. And what I found very often is pageant girls, the trap they fall into is they keep posting the same stuff. So it's always crown and sash, crown and sash, crown and sash. What are your overall tips for a pageant girl who wants to get more traffic, get seen more, get her advocacy seen more?
For sure. I would say quality over quantity. I think a lot of girls want to post every single day and maybe even reuse some photos in the arsenal that have maybe even
Mm,
been posted in the past. And for me, myself, and also the clients that I have, I would much rather have 1 to 3 really amazing posts a week spread out than a post every single day. And obviously that number could depend on the current content that you
yeah.
have. But in
Yeah.
regards to getting seen or getting noticed, believe it or not, hashtags. There's a whole different thing that we do when it comes to whether it's a girl specific platform or a brand and their target market that we go through when we pick a really targeted hashtag set and group, also including the tags for if a girl's advocacy is about breast cancer, tagging all the necessary breast cancer foundations
Sure.
or community groups in the area nationally. And also geotagging is so important. These are things that I see other girls and even my friends, even my mom, we forget to post all these things.
Mm.
And it's so time consuming and it's a lot. It's more than just take a picture and post it. There's so much that goes into just one single post. And in order to get more eyes, that's a really great way to start.
That sounds fascinating. I might get you to have a look at my my social media.
Of
The,
course.
the the interesting thing when a lot of people talk about social media is you can tell they've got good ideas, but they're not practitioners. And we can sit and discuss sort of social media strategy and what would work. And obviously, there are very huge numbers of differing opinions. But I always think the test with social media is does it work, and does it
Yeah.
work for your client? Because just because it works for you doesn't necessarily mean it would work for your client. You mentioned before that you tend to designate one day as your content creation day.
Correct.
Um, so, in terms of just content creation, tips for that, apart from batching, which is what you do, obviously, with doing it in one day,
Yes.
people go, oh, I don't know what to post. I don't know, how do I take photos? I don't know how to be creative. And they stress out and they spend, rather than spending one day shooting, they spend 1 year agonizing over the perfect
Yes.
post. So, in terms of just getting started and putting out some good quality content, as you said, and making it creative and original and authentic, all that good stuff, do you have any tips for that?
Believe it or not, sitting down and writing a script out. I know I keep mentioning TikTok and we can kind of transfer that
Mm,
over to Reels on Instagram.
yeah,
But even if it's just 10 TikTok ideas, so whether it's, well, obviously we'll use pageantry, anything regarding to the girl's reign, her state, her advocacy, writing that down, coming up with transition ideas. Even I love a good meme. I love to laugh. A good TikTok meme, just writing those down. And also when it comes to the photo-based content, the different locations, the different outfits, and planning it out. If you can designate the first half of your day to creation and the second half of your day to editing, you will be set. You'll be set.
that's actually what I do as well because I find my brain is more creative in the morning and the editing it demands your attention, but you don't need to be quite as creative. And my brain normally after lunch is not as good as it was before lunch. Let's just put it that way.
But that's
Uh,
so important that you know when you're more creative and that you're on the ball with certain things. Not many people do know that, so that's really good.
well, I mean, if you've ever tried being super creative after you've had a massive lunch, I don't know if anyone. They say in the public speaking world, there's two times you don't want to go on. One is to go after a certain person who I won't name, but he's my coach. So don't go on after him because he's so amazing. Afterwards, by comparison, you sound horrible. But the other time you don't want to public speak is after lunch because everyone is dozing on a sugar high. Their stomachs are full and they're all like asleep.
That's
So,
true. I do my best work at night. I always joke that I'm nocturnal. I'm up until 1 o'clock in the morning doing all my work. So
so what happens if you have to do something in the morning? Is it don't wake the monster
I
or?
make it work. Just like you make it work when you have calls at 6 o'clock in the morning. I make it work. I do what I have to do for my clients and to get really good content. So
That's the life of an entrepreneur right there,
yes, it
isn't
is.
it? Do you have, I mean, you mentioned that you don't just have clients, obviously, in the Manhattan and Philadelphia areas. I mean, are you looking to, do you have any international clients? Are you looking to expand internationally? I mean, there's absolutely
I
no
would
reason why
love,
not.
love, 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 love to expand internationally. I am nationwide, so to speak. So obviously, I'm not
Hmm.
just in Philadelphia, Manhattan. I would love to be able to get all 50 states, but I would love to go internationally. So maybe it'll be my first international client in Australia.
Sounds good to me.
Love it.
Uh, in terms of social media, just quickly, what's your favorite platform? I'm going to assume TikTok. Is that correct?
For the longest time, it was Instagram, but I gotta say,
Hmm.
TikTok stole my heart this past year, and I was so against it. I was like, "Oh no, 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 no!" Because obviously it's a different target market. It was very Gen
Yeah.
Z. And I was like, I don't think I can do it, but I fell in love with it. And now I recommend it to everyone.
What happens if there's someone who should be on TikTok for their business or for their pageantry and just doesn't want to go on TikTok because they can't figure out the platform, they don't want to do dancing, they don't, all that stuff that they say, oh, it's just, young girls dancing. What advice would you have for someone who probably should get on TikTok because there's a lot of people there, but just
Yeah,
wants to avoid it for one reason or another?
that's actually so funny. I had a client in Philadelphia.
Hmm.
He is absolutely amazing, very open to collaboration, but he's so dead set against TikTok for the
Against
exact reasons
TikTok.
that you said. And I said to him, I go, oh my goodness, no, please don't think that way. It's not just about dancing. It's not just about the little audios and the little, meme stuff,
Mm,
even though it's great and fun. But I call it the Wild West right now because the algorithm is not currently regulated. So your video has the ability to reach millions and millions of people. Literally, and you don't have that with Instagram. Instagram only
mm,
shows up to the feeds of the people that you follow, unless you're on the explore page. But even with that, it's not a
yeah.
feed where you're able to scroll and it's right in your face. So every single business, every single person should be getting on that. And even if they're not doing dances, they can still do informational pieces. They can still do introductory
Mm.
pieces, whether it's on themselves or their brand.
I have found TikTok through the last year that a lot of content just exploded. As you said, you could have 100 followers and have a video seen by hundreds of thousands of people. In fact, my first video where you have no followers because you just start on the platform, right? And I put up a clip of Miss World Australia, the girls walking around, and that got, I think, 3 or 4 thousand views. So after that, I was like,
It's
that's interesting
amazing.
because that won't happen on Instagram or Facebook. Um, your thoughts on Instagram Reels, because that seems to me like they're really pushing it. So I've had a similar sort of vibe, not quite as viral, but more consistent views through Instagram Reels recently. I've got about 2,000 followers, but some of the Reels have had 20, 30,000 views, which is amazing. And then
Yeah.
also YouTube Shorts is a new one that they're really pushing. I put up a clip from some of the Miss Universe girls walking on stage, and the clip that I put up of Miss South Africa, because she was a fan favorite and everyone couldn't believe she didn't get through to the
I
top
know.
20.
I know.
That got blown up. That now has, I think, close to 50,000 views and
On
2,000 likes.
YouTube.
And
On YouTube?
on YouTube Shorts, and
Wow.
I had 100 subscribers. Now, thanks basically to that one short, I've got now 300 subscribers. It's blown up. So are you seeing this trend that sort of people saw TikTok do well, and so now Instagram wants a piece, and now YouTube wants a piece? Is that something that's
100%.
happening?
Even with stories, right? Snapchat used to
Mm,
do stories, and then Instagram said, we want
Instagram.
that too.
Yeah.
So Instagram definitely is the main hub. It always will be for me, especially as a social media manager, because I'm able to repurpose so many forms of content.
Yeah.
But my tip for video-based content is always keep it short and sweet. You can lose that viewer in like 2 seconds, not even. If it's not
Mm,
eye-catching, if it's not entertaining, if it's not, I want to watch this, swipe. And everything goes by those views and by those shares, essentially the engagement from that single post. So that's actually so amazing that you were able to get so much engagement on your YouTube short video, which was really cool. But definitely consistency too is a really big
mm,
thing. So when I mentioned earlier about planning out that content, I love to get content just for that week and post 3 videos a
yeah.
day, morning, noon, and night, so to speak. And they love to see that consistency and interaction. For the more time that you're on the app, they reward you by pushing out your
Yeah.
videos more.
Yeah, which is why it's important to keep their attention. It's not
Yes,
necessarily sometimes about the number of views. I mean, people do obsess about views and likes, but if you can keep people on the platform for longer, then the algorithm tends to, I think, prioritize showing your stuff versus someone
yes.
else's stuff because the algorithm goes, oh, your stuff must be interesting. When you take on a new client, and let's say they're not so social media savvy, because there are people like that, and they go, oh, which platform should I post on? And you obviously you've got Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, you know, and other
An
platforms, and there's
abundance,
more to
yes.
come, and there's a lot that are sort of on their last legs. What sort of advice do you give to someone as in terms of how many platforms should I be posting on?
So first and foremost, I like to take into account their target market. So depending
Mm,
on that age bracket, what is going to be the most appropriate social media site to push the content on. And I'm thankful because just about every single client that I have, it's Instagram,
mm,
linked to the Facebook account, but Instagram is the main one. And the newest one that we've been pushing, obviously, is TikTok. So those
mm,
are the three. And I always tell them that it's it's really, really easy, at least for me, but it's really easy to be able to repurpose different content, the same piece of content for the
Yeah,
different platforms. If you obviously know how to do it, it's a lot easier than people think.
that's a very important one because that allows you to be on more platforms than
Exactly. The visibility is so important, 100%.
yeah, because some people think, oh, if I take on TikTok, I now need to double or triple my content production. But it's like,
Yeah.
well, if you put it up on TikTok, you can put it up on Reels, you can put it up on YouTube Shorts, and you can actually still put that up on Facebook. In terms of Facebook, where do you see that going? I know there's some people now who only have a Facebook account because they need a Facebook account as a login.
Yes.
There seems to have been a movement away from Facebook, people going, oh, my mother's on it or my grandmother's on it, so I don't want to be on it anymore. Your thoughts on Facebook and where it's going?
Yeah, personally for me, I use it to keep up with my family, my friends.
Yeah,
I don't really use it as a social media site. I still have it because it's like the master key, right, to get into all the other social media
exactly.
sites and everything.
Yeah.
So we definitely still need it. There is a specific software site that I use when I do plan and create content for clients that in the press of a button, it links that same post to Facebook. So it's mine. I don't even have to worry about logging into Facebook and posting it. It
Yeah.
really hasn't been the main centerpiece, so to speak, for any one of my clients, but still keeping that presence and keeping that visibility is important. I don't really see it making a comeback, but I still see it staying relevant in regards to being that master key for all the other social media sites.
Well, I'm sure Facebook won't be going anywhere. I mean, they
No,
own
it's
they
definitely,
own
definitely not.
Instagram as well, so you know they're doing okay.
Yeah,
Um, Twitter, is that going to be a massive comeback? What, MySpace or are these?
definitely
If
not
you remember
MySpace.
MySpace,
I think it was a little bit before my time, but I still do remember it. Um, Personally for Twitter, I do not have one. I think as a regular person, especially as a pageant contestant or a model, it
mm,
can kind of get you in trouble sometimes. I've noticed that
yeah,
unfortunately
oh
a
yeah,
lot in
yeah,
some cases.
yeah,
So I don't recommend it on a personal level, but depending on the business, depending on the brand, like if you're announcing sales, if you're announcing a new release of a product, then it could be really, really beneficial.
sure,
We do have active Twitter accounts for a few clients, but most of them don't recommend it or push it.
mm,
When I do take on clients, it's very tailored and very personal to them. I always say it's on a one size fits all, where it's like, all right, this is what you're getting from me. Best of luck. I don't care. I really want to
yeah.
sit down and make sure that for that specific month, we're planning out our goals, we're planning out the content that we want to make, and we're planning out where we're going to put that content to.
Sounds good. All right, Claudia, we always finish with the same 10 questions. So just
All
before
right.
we get to the same 10 questions, any shout outs that you want to give to your support team?
Shout out to my parents, shout out to my friend Jasmine, shout out to Shannon, shout out to Shailena, and shout out to everyone watching. Thank you so much.
Perfect.
Oh, hold
Okay.
on. And most importantly, my aunt, my titi, she loves YouTube. She will be watching this if she's not already watching the live on her TV, but I know she will be watching. So, Titi and David, thank you.
That's one of the cool things that's happened during the pandemic was that people got online more, and I started getting screenshots of people watching my interviews or
Uh,
my podcast on large screen TVs. And the first time I saw it, I was confused. I was like, I'm not on
you're
TV.
like, I'm
How
on
did that
TV?
happen? Yeah, and then I realized, oh, it's smart TVs. You've got the. Oh, it's like,
Yeah.
you know, for someone who does as much social media as me, I'm woefully behind the times
My
sometimes.
aunt, she loves she loves YouTube every single day. She's on it. She's getting her news. She's watching her shows. She's always, always on YouTube. So I know she'll be watching this.
That can be a big way of disappearing down a rabbit hole. It used to be
Yes.
TikTok. You know, I'd stay in bed going, I'm going to sleep now. I'll just watch one TikTok. 3 hours later, how many cat videos can you watch?
Oh, I know.
YouTube is the same. It's horrible for conspiracy theorists. If you go into YouTube and you start Googling
I've done that.
some of the stuff, yeah, no, don't do that. You come out like a crazy person. You just need the
You do.
tinfoil hat.
Literally.
it's
Literally.
it's horrible. You can find everything on YouTube, and
You
that's
can.
not necessarily a good thing. Uh, okay, well, shout out to Auntie if you're watching. Final 10 questions. It's not a speed round, but if you want to treat it as a speed round, then go
Okay.
for it. Question 1: what is your favorite word?
Compassion.
Least favorite word?
It's a saying, but not good enough. I couldn't think of a word, but we're going to go with the saying, not good enough.
What gets you excited or what turns you on?
A good conversation. I love a good
You and I
conversation.
have in common. I do love a good conversation. What
Also, I
about?
saw that you were a Leo too. I'm not into zodiacs.
Yes.
When's your birthday?
26th of July. I'm looking down at the date going, is it today? No, it's my brother's
Ah!
birthday today. No, 26th of July.
Oh, mine's July 23rd. We're only a couple days apart. But yes, I only know my zodiac or our zodiac, I guess, but I don't know any other zodiacs.
Well, I'm not huge into astrology. Sorry for the 90% of the world that I've offended. But apparently I'm supposed to be, what is it? Leader, charismatic, stubborn. Is it all those
Yes,
things?
yes.
Stubborn. Well, I guess. Do you know any famous celebrities born on your birthday?
Daniel Radcliffe. Daniel Radcliffe. Harry
Oh,
Potter.
that's not fair. Okay.
Harry Potter.
For for the longest time, I was like, I don't know any like famous people who have the same birthday as me who aren't embarrassing.
Oh
Uh,
no.
and then I found one the other day on my podcast. I don't know if you know Jason Statham. He's an
Yes,
action actor.
of
He's got
course.
my birthday, so I was like, oh,
Okay.
finally,
Not a
a
bad birthday
cool
to
one.
share.
Yeah, much better than I share a birthday with our ex-prime minister. I mean, he was very successful, 4 terms in a row, but you'd never look at him and go, man, he's cool. No, he was
Oh
like,
no. No, you can't compare that
anyway,
to Jason. Day and night.
nah, nah. Okay, that was what turns you on. What turns you off?
Dishonesty and not good communicating skills. Especially on a side note, especially in the dating world too. That's a whole different story. But communication is so important, the lack of it or the consistency of it. So
Well, it's important in dating. It's also important in business. It's kind of important.
everywhere
What's
in
the
life.
saying? The meaning of the meaning of your communication is a response you get. I always remember that one. So if
It's
someone
a good thing.
gives you a response and you don't like it, maybe you didn't communicate that well. Question 5: what sound or noise do you love?
The waves crashing on the shore. I grew up very, very, very close to a beach, so the ocean will always be near and dear to my heart.
Do you get many wave crashing sounds in Manhattan?
Unfortunately, not. But Long Island's right down the road, so I'll just go right back
Okay.
home.
Okay. What sound or noise do you hate?
Ironically enough, in Manhattan, all the noise when you're trying to sleep. It's not possible, but you get
I
used to it.
I spent some time in New York, and everyone had told me, people in New York are this, they're that, they want another. I love New York. The one thing I will say about New York was that I don't know if it's the same in Manhattan or what the relationship is between New York and Manhattan. My geographical knowledge is not that good, but people in New York, they don't toot the horn. They leave hand on the horn. That's how they communicate. It's not beep. It's
It's a loud honk.
beep. And that's when you're trying to
Yes,
get to sleep. You don't find that
unfortunately.
very soothing, do you?
No.
No, that's fair enough. Question 7: if you could have any one superpower, what would you pick and why?
The ability to speak every single language possible. I think language barriers, it's like the biggest disappointment for me. There's so many missed conversations, so many missed opportunities from language barriers.
Yep.
I envy the people who are able to speak several languages, and I would love to be able to speak at least one other, maybe two. So yeah,
So
definitely
you
more
don't speak
languages.
any other languages at the moment?
I wish I did. So I grew up half Latina, half
Hmm.
white. I had a father who was German and Irish, and a mother who was Mexican, Spanish, and a little bit of Puerto Rican. But
Wow,
I didn't, and it's a mix, but I
that is a
didn't
mix.
grow up in a family where we were always speaking Spanish. I grew up in a town where it was, 100% white. We didn't have a lot of culture
Yep,
growing up.
yep,
As I got older, I honestly, there's a level of accountability. I could have easily taught myself Spanish or
sure,
took a
sure.
lot more classes in high school. But unfortunately, in high school, the Spanish teachers I had, I would dread going in there because they would just, it wasn't a pleasant experience, unfortunately. So I
Okay,
always kind of associated learning that new language with that dreaded experience. Um, but it really is a life goal of mine to be able to speak Spanish first and foremost, to be able to connect with the other part of my culture and roots.
sounds good. Okay, question 8: what job or occupation other than your own would you most like to attempt?
Honestly, I love what I do and I'm so thankful to do it, but I would love to add traveling. If I can continue to do what I'm doing and travel, whether it's taking on clients, as we mentioned earlier, internationally, or just still doing the clients that I have, but just traveling while I do it, that's the dream.
Do you have any particular destinations on your travel bucket list?
Ironically enough, the countries and more importantly, the cities that I am from. So Galicia, Spain, Saxony, Germany, Mexico City, Ponce, Puerto Rico, just kind of doing a nice little heritage tour. And then Greece. I've always wanted to go to Greece.
Is it the white buildings and blue oceans that I see in all the photos? Is that what you want to see in Greece? Because that's what I
Yes, but
want
I
to see in
also
Greece.
I want to live out my version of Mamma Mia, right?
Oh,
Like
I was going to
I
say,
love
please
Mamma
don't tell me another Mamma Mia tragic.
Mia. I know.
My podcast co-host insists she's never going to get married. But if I'm going to get married, she says, and she's Irish, I'm going to have, the Mamma Mia, the men jumping in the water, and she's going to relive that thing. I'm like, oh, God.
No, I love she went right when she graduated college. She had a great time. It was just I love that. I
Yeah.
love the movie, the second movie, Mamma Mia, with Meryl Streep and Lily James. It's one of my favorite movies. Love it.
I've not seen that one. I've only seen the first one. So,
Definitely
yeah, I
recommend that
know.
one.
I know. Okay, I need to go and watch the second one. Uh, what job would you definitely not like to attempt?
Being a server. And I say that because for one day I was a server and I knew myself enough that I couldn't do it. And I literally have the utmost respect for people in the industry who are in service, waitress, waiters. I don't know how they do it, especially during a busy time. Couldn't be me. I would not want
Well,
that.
it teaches you how to handle stress,
It
teaches you
does.
mental and emotional resilience. But then you also meet some really nice people, like people who give you a generous tip, and that can turn the day
Oh,
around, make you feel
100%.
amazing.
Literally every single one of my friends worked as a waitress and I
Yeah,
gave it my best shot. And I said, I could not, I couldn't do it.
I will just say, guys, tip your servers because it's a
Yes,
it's a
yes,
bloody hard
I
job.
do that. It really
Yeah,
is.
if you've ever worked as a server, you will never not tip a server again because it is sometimes the most thankless job in the world.
My one day in the industry, I was like, I'm giving you all my money because that's a lot of work.
Well, did you have a particularly traumatic one-off experience or customer interaction? Like one day that's pretty special.
It was okay. I think it was like a 2 day training. It was at a really amazing brunch spot, but it was a
Hmm.
very popular brunch spot. The turnover was high. There was always like an hour long wait. So, in regards to handling stress, I think I do a pretty good job at that. But when it comes to that particular environment, it just was not a good fit for me. And after the second day, day and a half of training, I was like, I got to tap out. This is not for me. Love you guys. I could not do what you do, but no.
That's fair enough. And my heart goes out to restaurants in
Yes.
particular because in 2020, gee, they did it tough and a lot of them would have disappeared. So glad to see them making a comeback. Final question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Ooh. I'm so happy you're here and someone's been waiting for you. And that would be the rest of my family and also more in particular, my favorite dog, Thunder, the husky. I would love that.
A husky. I love
Yes.
huskies.
His name was Thunder. He was so amazing. I grew up with him. Um, just my best friend. Loved him.
I love huskies, but I sometimes think that people in Australia shouldn't get them because it's just so hot here.
Oh,
If
I
so
know.
you know what a husky is like. Can you imagine a
Yes.
husky out in 40, and when I say 40 degrees, I'm talking Celsius, or 100 degrees.
Oh my
Like, it's
goodness.
not right for the husky. It's just like they're there and they're
Yeah.
like dying. Like,
Passed out.
yeah, well, it's not the right climate for
Yeah.
huskies here.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, Claudia, that's about it. Look, thank you so much for coming on and thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. This is great.
And for people who want to get in touch for social media or for any of the other things you're doing, health and wellness coaching, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
My main social media page, which is Miss Claudia Michelle. In my bio is the Mindful Living Co. The new app for the business is Mindful Living Media. And if you do follow that other page, you will be the first one to see it when we officially launch it.
On the 1st of July.
Correct.
22 days before your birthday.
Yes.
There you go. I remembered something after today, after all. Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much. Claudia, I'll keep you on the line for just a second whilst I hang up with the audience, so don't go anywhere. Thank you to everyone for watching live on the replay, and we will speak to you next time. Bye for now. Thanks for watching. Just a reminder to you entrepreneurial types to come and join us at our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/the Pageant Boss. I'll see you inside and see you in the next episode.